Hey guys, Ruppy here. In today's video, I thought why not give you guys my 2025 Six Nations prediction. With all the teams announced now for this upcoming tournament, I thought why not give you guys my thoughts, just my opinions of what I believe, which team will stand out from the rest and which team may just kind of fall behind as the competition goes on. Before we do this, make sure guys to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and let me know in the comment section below your predictions for this upcoming tournament. Let me know in the comment section below. I want to know who you think will win. Which players do you believe will stand out? Let me know in the comment section below. So, with the team I think will finish in sixth place for this upcoming tournament, I think it's me, Italy. I think Italy is the team that I'm going with here. It's one of those where I just think, Italy were they were pretty good, throughout last year's competition. So, they got wins over Scotland and Wales in impressive fashion, really, one at home, one away. And they did it in style, which is probably the most important thing, really. They just played good rugby. So I'm kind of hoping we see more of that throughout this competition because they really just, they were really impressive. And even going back towards, the Autumn Nations, they had that kind of close kind of battle between the All Blacks to kind of keep it close for a while. So look, I could be completely wrong with this, guys. I'm just going off what I think of the fixtures, that the players they have available here. Because, as you look at the players right here, they have the likes of their captain, Michel Namara there. They got the likes of, Paolo Garbisi, the number 10 spots. They got Stefan Varney there, as well as Sandro Garbisi to kind of fight for that kind of number 9 spots. They got the player of the tournament from last year's competition with Tommaso Melancello there, the number center at the center spot. So yeah, he was incredible last year. So we'll be kind of expecting more of him kind of throughout this competition. But yeah, within the forwards as well, they got some good players in there like Ferrari, Fischetti, Ricconi in terms of that front row, good front row there. Like Federico Ruza in terms of lock, he's always been pretty impressive for them. So yeah, look, I'm expecting a lot from them. They have a good team, even like Montioni. They've got Capuzzo, of course. You can't really forget about him. So look, I want this Italian team to do well, but it's one of those where when I'm looking at the fixtures, I just don't think it's in their favor. I think the only thing that you can kind of go off that is that, look, they get the home game against Wales, which is at least a good thing to see. But besides that, they're not playing like their first game is against Scotland away. I just think that's going to be too tough of a fixture. It's really just not in their favor. I mean, they have to face the likes of, Wales, like I said, in their second game. They're then going to go against France at home, which could be interesting to see if they can kind of pull it off or not. But then they go against England away, and then they finish it off with Ireland at home. So I don't know if like those fixtures are kind of in their favor. So that's kind of the reason why I went with the Italians to finish in last place for this upcoming tournament. So with the fifth place team, I've decided to go with Wales in this situation. I believe, I think they'll make some improvements. I think just looking at their squad, they've made some kind of tough calls in there, drastic calls really. But at the same time, it can be seen as like, you got to make these tough decisions to kind of step up again. And you can definitely tell that Gatland's made some big calls in there, kind of reshaping the team kind of to what we saw previously in the past. He's included like, Faletau in there, who I've always appreciated. You got Jack Morgan now officially, who's captaining the side. You got Tommy Raffaello in there. You got, Aaron Wainwright, all decent players really within that forward pack. And then when you look towards the backs here, I mean, then you got the likes, Tom Rogers in there. You got Ben Thomas, Nick Tompkins, Owen Watkins. I mean, Liam Williams even. Like, there's a good side in there when you look at all these players. But yeah, do I think they'll improve drastically compared to what we saw last year? I don't think so. I mean, it's one of those where honestly, I think that Italy game is the one they'll obviously target. I think that's the one that they'll want to get a win over. But at the same time, they got some, I guess, fixtures in their way. I guess when you look at the last week, going all the way towards the last week, they have that home fixture against England, which could come into their favor. But they then have to face the Scottish before then at away. They have to face, the Irish at home, which could come into their favor depending on how that goes. But then they have, like I said, they have to face France in the opening round away. So I'm not sure if that fixture will be too kind to them because they haven't done well there previously. But yeah, look, I want the Welsh to do well, but honestly, I just don't think they'll have the strength and kind of just strength in numbers really to kind of compete with the other sides I'm going to mention very shortly. I just think they're a team which is really, they struggled a lot within 2024, and I'm not really expecting too much of, I guess, a change in that sense into the Six Nations tournament. So hopefully they can prove me wrong, but I just don't think they'll make that drastic jump. But we'll have to wait and see. For the team then that I've chosen at fourth place, then this is where I've decided to go with England. I think England are one of those sides where they're really a mixed bag team. I think they're the most like mixed bag team, and the reason why I'm saying that is like because you don't know if they're going to win or if they're going to lose. There's one of those sides where they can pull off an amazing performance, but they can just it can get snatched away from them. And we saw it a few times throughout the Autumn Nations throughout last year. So it's one of those where, look, going into the Six Nations, I think they have the talent. That's for sure. They definitely have the talent, without a doubt. I mean, when you look at a player like Marcus Smith, man, he's arguably one of the best promising 10s in world rugby. So he's definitely one to kind of keep an eye out for and definitely ones to watch. But then, you have some players in there who they definitely fill a side in there. But again, a lot of injuries there. I would have loved to see kind of Sam Underhill. He's been looking pretty good within the Premiership, but again, he's injured, so not available for the side. But they do have the likes of, Tom Willis in there. They got both the Curry brothers. They got Mara Toje, who, of course, is the captain in the side. In terms of the backs, they got Alex Mitchell in there. They got Ole Slyholm. They got, Henry Slade. Freddie Stewart. I mean, it's a good side. They got a good side in there. I just think it's one of those where, do I think they can compete with the rest? I mean, when you look at the fixtures again, I'm always going to point out the fixtures here, guys. I mean, their opening fixture is against Ireland away, so that's a tough start for them. To then face France at home, which is like, oof, I mean, that's going to be a challenge because France definitely like playing at Twickenham. I mean, I remember that demolishing that a few years ago. That was like kind of not a fun watch if you're an English fan, but man, it was entertaining itself as a neutral. They then face the Scottish at home as well, so that'll be an interesting picture because that's always been a good picture to watch. But then later on they then face the Italians at home, and then they finish off with Wales away. So when you look at the actual fixtures they have in terms of who they're facing in those games, I don't know if they'll go into their favor. Like, there's a reality where they lose their first three because they have France, Ireland, and Scotland, who in reality are seen as kind of like more of the favorites actually going into this competition. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of just beat one of them at the end of the day. If they can beat one of them, they were able to do that last year by beating the Irish at home, which was a very impressive win. And they'll be kind of looking to get that, particularly against the French. If they win against France at home, that'll be probably the big result for them, in my opinion. But for now, I think I'm going to put them in, I got to put them in fourth place. When looking at the other teams here, I just think I don't think they'll match them up. But hey, I could be wrong. Anyway, moving on towards the third place team, I believe, I've decided to go with, now this may shock a few people, but I've gone with Ireland. Now, this is a shock. I know people probably think Ireland is kind of the slam down champions of this competition. And hey, it's not like a bad guess at all, because at the end of the day, Ireland are a very, very good team. So they could easily win this competition, and I wouldn't expect anything less. I just think, going into this year, do I think they can do three in a row? It's a tough job to do three in a row. And I mean, I'm going to first look at the fixtures here before we even talk about the team, because the team is just, it's pretty much the same team that you'll kind of expect. But with the fixtures, look, they have a good fixture list in terms of what they're looking for, because they have the likes of England at home. They'll start off the opening round. Then they face the Scottish away, which is probably their toughest fixture, actually. And then they face the Welsh away. And then they go against France, but at home. So that's at least a good thing for them. Have home advantage in that game. And then they finish it off with Italy away. So in reality, that's kind of the best way they can go about it. I mean, the only game, like I said, that could really pip them, I believe, is that Scotland game away, because that can be a tough game, particularly with the Scottish playing, pretty good rugby throughout the past years. So that's the game that they'll have to target, I believe. I mean, again, that France game, they can never, kind of put off the gas. But I think that Scotland game is going to be really determine how well they do. And I think that can really determine how the competition goes. And in my mind, look, I'm not giving anything away here, but I think Scotland could actually win that game. I actually think they could win that game against the Irish. So that's kind of the way I've thought about this. And I think that's kind of the result that could separate the Scottish and Irish in this Six Nations tournament. Scotland at home, the team, I just think they got a good thing going for them. So that's the reason why I've decided to put Ireland in third. It's nothing against them, because I think they can get the job against England. They could lose against Scotland. They could beat, Wales away. That Ireland-France game, I mean, that's a tough one. But in this scenario, I think France could, they could probably get the job done under them. So that's 2 losses there. And then they could, finish off with Italy away, which, hey, you can never really put off the gas because the Italians are always a good side. But again, I would expect the Irish to win that. So it's one of those where they can come off with 3 wins and 2 losses. But is that enough to win the Six Nations? I don't think it is. So in my mind, I'm going with Ireland in third place. But again, when you look at the side, they have a very good side here. As you can see, it's the same team. Like, they have, Andrew Porter in there. They got Peter O'Mahony, Joe McCarthy. They got James Ryan, Dan Sheehan, which is probably the big one, because we didn't really see a lot of him throughout, kind of the rest of 2024, because he did play a big part of the Six Nations last year, but we didn't really see him throughout the remainder due to an injury. So it'll be good to kind of see how Dan Sheehan goes along within the Six Nations. But then, with the backs, I mean, they got Bundiak in there. They got Jack Rally, as well as Prendergast kind of fighting for the 10 jersey, which is good to see a bit of competition there since Sexton has left. So kind of like kind of that duel that they'll have kind of going on. But yeah, besides that, look, it's a good side. They got a really good back line there, and it's going to be tough to beat the Irish guys. But I just think it's one of those games where I think a result could hurt them, and I think the opening result against the Scottish could deteriorate how they go on for the rest of the competition. So that's the only reason why I'm saying Ireland throw, just to keep that in mind. So with the team in second place, then this is where I decided to go with Scotland. I think Scotland will finish in second. I think it's one of those games where it really comes down towards kind of that final fixture because they will face the French away in Paris. And I think that's the fixture that will really determine who wins the Six Nations. And yeah, look, it's going to be a tough run because Scotland, they got the run for the money here. They have the opening game against Italy, which I would expect them to win. Then they have probably their most difficult fixture when it comes to it with Ireland at home. So they have 2 home games to start off this competition. So that's a big one. Then they face England away, which could really determine if they can kind of make that jump or not. And then they face the likes of Wales at home again. And then they face the likes of France away. So I think it's a fixture run that actually goes into their favor, actually, when you look at the Scottish. But do I think they can beat the French? It's a tough one. And I think in that particular fixture, I think the French may have it over them. So that's the reason why I think Scotland may finish second in this competition, guys. And when you look at the team, guys, they have an amazing back line. They have like Darcy Graham, Duan van der Merwe. They've got Blake Kinghorn. That's an amazing back three. They've got Finn Russell in there. They've included the likes of Fergus Burke, who's come from New Zealand. A great player, I believe, and definitely has the potential to kind of step up as like kind of the next 10, I believe, for Scotland. But yeah, with the rest of the side, they got Gilchrist in there. Gray. They got Scoman in there. It's a good side, guys. They have a really good side in there, and I think the Scottish they're just unbelievable. I mean, Tupeloza, man, he's been probably one of the best players recently when it comes towards form. So he's definitely kind of ones to watch out for. But man, Scottish, man, you can never underestimate them. And I think this is the year where they can be seen as like a dark horse that kind of surprises a lot of people. So I've chosen Scotland second, and of course, I've then gone with France as first. I think France is just one of those sides where they're a beast. They're definitely a good team, and you can never underrate them. I mean, they have a few injuries in there, of course, that some players are unavailable for them. But at the same time, I just still think they're an amazing side. I mean, when you look at the French here, I mean, they have like Bouvaca, who's been probably one of the best hookers, I'd say, in World Rugby at the moment. I think he's just been sensational to watch. They got Gregory Alexwitz in there. They got, Fulman. They got Anthony Delange. I mean, they got Cruz in there. They got, who else? Sidral Bailly, great. Yeah, he's a great prop. I mean, it's a really good kind of like 4-pack there for the French guys. And in terms of that back line, they got both Ntamack and Dupont, which is probably big because they haven't had those two in a while in the same campaign. I think they didn't have both of them in. I think Ntamack, if I'm not mistaken, was unavailable for last year's competition. So it just shows you they'll go, I believe, a level up. I believe in this one. They got Villaray in there. They got Thomas Ramos. I mean, Damien Penaud. I mean, he's just they got a great side, guys. They got a great side. So yeah, I expect them to do big things in this competition, get a lot of tries as expected. But yeah, man, France, the other team I think to beat in this Six Nations. Again, I want to see your thoughts, guys. What you guys think below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think it'll be a different order? Like, which players do you believe will stand out? Let me know in the comment section, guys. Like the video, guys. Subscribe to our channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.